What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at My Cowboys Family, and of course, hop in the Discord, link for that's in the description box down below. And again, as we get rolling here tonight, guys, we do have, of course, some more Cowboys minicamp things to discuss.
Yeah, today was the final day of minicamp. We'll explain why, even though it's supposed to be for tomorrow too. They're doing minicamp, it's just not on the field work. Like I've kind of suggested, and like the McCarthy era has done, they usually cut off. If they have 4 days, they do 3. If they have 3 days, they do 2. We'll hear more, I'm sure, about this in the future, but we're not going to hear from many Cowboy players, coaches, or anyone for the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks after this.
Exactly.
After today's stream, basically. So, it's the the winter, the cold winter here when it comes to the football news world. And it was really light the whole, off season pretty much for the Cowboys, with the Joneses doing not much. Anyways, before we get into all of that, let's shout out the family here who reps these boards with us weekly here. And this one 2 weeks in a row. It's the man McLovin. He's the sponsor of the week. Right there at the bottom with the scrolling text. That's the number 1 spot on our boards. And then, of course, right there behind it is the Cash App King, which is also McLovin. Appreciate him dominating it there in the After Dark sessions. So, again, big shout out to McLovin, the man McLovin. Also, the man from Hawaii, repping that star for everything, Mark Hovsepian, who's right now got one of the old numbers of the guy who's going to speak today. Number 15, Zeke. The old number 21 points from Mark Hovsepian on the stream, boss. He's definitely in code red. That's definitely for the taking. And if you look at the gifting membership board, one of the newest but also best ways to give love to the channel and also to your fellow family members here in the chat. Jason Renfro, but Jet Li 44 repping it here for 6 out of the last 7 weeks, and also has the lead trying to go back to back. Like our 90s Cowboys on that board. He's got 3 right now. Skeptical Fan has 1 gifted membership, so that's still hanging there for the taking. We close it down, Sunday, so get ready for that. And then, of course, we also have the champions, not just on that board, but also the Cash App board, which currently it's not McLovin who's leading that. It is currently SCO971, who's got also some After Dark drops over there. And big shout-outs to him for being on that Cash App board, but not too far behind him, and he's not too far behind the leader of the overall board. The leader of the overall board is also not too far behind SCO971, but that is the man Jet Li 44, aka Jason Renfro. He is currently in first place on the overall board and trying to take that sponsor of the week board back as a weekly winner, which is important to note here. I'll explain why in a little bit. But thank you guys for repping the boards. And also, thank you guys for dropping the love when you guys do that, whether it's a super chat, a thanks button drop. It could also be jumping in the membership, gifting memberships. But then there's 4 other ways that you can hit up the Cash App crown here. Of course, Cash App being one of them. What's the 4 ways, baby?
No, we just said one of them. Cash App, Money Sign, My Cowboys Family. The VENMO at My-Cowboys-Family. You have the regular PayPal link and the Streamlabs link, which lets your comment show up on screen like a super chat.
That's right. So, one last thing here before we kick this thing off with the news, info, and updates for the day and the wrap up here, basically of minicamp. There's the star level shout outs and the over everything level shout outs, who also have a raffle coming up Monday is the day I'm focusing on, Monday or Tuesday. We're having a raffle for the monthly jersey winner here, and that's going to be, we don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be somebody from the star level, the over everything level, or one of our weekly winners. And because we extended this past week into 2 weeks, right now Jason Renfro, Jet Li 44 is in the lead, but whoever takes it in the end, will obviously be added to the raffle with a bonus entry there. I know we have McLovin, of course, in there, and a couple others who've won that and are entered into this raffle coming up on Monday or Tuesday of next week. So this is for the month of May, even though we're in June. But don't worry, we're watching for June here, as at the end of this month sometime we will also do the same thing. Now, on that note, baby, we also have to give them shout-outs. That's what the star level and over everything level get. That's another one of their many perks here. If you're in those levels, outside of that, navy blue and silver too. Much love to them. But let's shout out those in the top shelf level memberships.
Of course. Thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jet Lee 44, Lincoln Kane, Marissa Sparkle, The Lunatic, and over everything, Seabass.
Hell yeah. Much love to all you guys. Seabass dropped his opinions earlier this week, I guess last week, and on Sunday he dropped it. Anyways, as we keep it rolling here, baby, I want to know who's in the house tonight, hitting that like and subscribing and all that good stuff. But who's in the house? I want to hear the shout-outs so we know who's here to discuss some Cowboy football.
Gotta kick it off with the man, Skeptical Fan.
Hell yeah.
Dropping those clown show emojis, by the way.
That's it.
Jet Lee 44, much love.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. James Payne, Vids and Streams, and he said, I still can't believe Larry Allen's gone.
So, I have a little bit about him today. Just can't get past that in a way, you know.
So a big blow, definitely. So we have Rolando Rodriguez in the house all the way from South Texas. Much love.
Yeah, RR.
Jayon, hello and hi.
Hello.
Mike Aldana, shout out to you. MCF After Dark, who's that?
Who?
Corey Pugh, what's up? Even if
Pugh.
you're a Seahawk fan.
PU.
Manuel Trillo, much love. You have Leaside Herald, representing the Cowboys always, right? 12th Man Off Grid, what's up?
Hey.
Texas Twister, hello and hi. Danny Barry Sports, much love to you. Freedom First, hey, look at you. You were first today. So, and so far, James, I think as far as I know, I don't think they know exactly what happened to him as far as the cause of death. I don't know if the family is going to be revealing that anytime soon. So,
well, we did talk about it actually, and again, we don't know the cause of death, but we did kind of discuss from Willie Anderson, this offensive lineman, who's a big guy. He said it, and when these guys retire, the big guys in the trenches, defense and offensive linemen, they sometimes keep that weight on and they get bigger, and which is what sounds like definitely what happened to Larry Allen. I don't know if it had anything to do with his death, but they get bigger, and then he's talking about kidney issues, of course, chest, heart issues, and many other issues that they can have. And again, this is something that sometimes takes the lives of these guys in a much younger way. And this has always been happening for years and years, where these guys, sometimes offensive linemen are dying off, or defensive linemen and offensive linemen dying off sooner because they're bigger, I'll say heavier guys. Once they stop retiring, they eat like they used to, but they don't work out like you used to, and then that's health issues. So that's probably the direction. Listen, I'm guessing on this completely, but based on what Willie Anderson said, he kind of implied that this is what was going on with Larry Allen. So, we'll find out soon. And, in the meantime, we got to respect, and send condolences to the family and the best of them, of course. So, in this very troubling, hard, difficult time here. So, now, I do want to also shout out here somebody here in the Cash App who is the man staying skeptical fan. Yes, he just had a drop of a $2 holler. He says, Texans blow. Go Cowboys. Much love to Skeptical Fan in the Cash App as he's rolling up the board there. But then I see the man Jet Lee 44 dropping a $1 holler. A little trickle in here, a trickle there. Appreciate you guys. I'm assuming he said, yeah, Cowboys.
You know it. Shout out to you, Skeptical Fan and Jet Lee 44.
Yes, thank you both. Appreciate you guys, and I think you guys are still in the same spots on the overall boards. Although I will say, Skeptical's getting close to second place, and that also means that then he'll be a little bit behind Mr. Jet Lee. Still behind him by 2 on the gifting board, and I'm ready to roll whenever you are.
Yeah, I mean, again, since we just talked about Larry Allen, I know you said you did have something on Larry Allen, right?
Yeah, let's just go into this, and I start off NFL news, but really with Larry Allen, only because this is a little tidbit of incredible information about Larry Allen. He was a first-team All-Pro selection at left tackle, at left guard, and at right guard.
Oh,
3 different positions. He was an All-Pro. I'm just saying, we forget how great he was. Like, that's not just, he was great because he was a Cowboy. He's one of the greatest ever as a Cowboy and maybe of all time.
I feel like that's got to be some kind of record.
Close. After, seeing, like kind of getting a list of anybody who came close to him, only one guy. And that's the great Bruce Matthews. If I remember, he was a Houston Oiler most of his career. The only other offensive lineman to make the All-Pro team at 3 different positions. I think he was at center. So that's actually literally 3 different positions, like the whole. So no matter how you slice it, fantastic. And again, it's just he played right guard, left tackle, and he was an All-Pro on all 3 spots. That's insane.
That has to be incredibly difficult, especially because we've heard so often how hard it is to switch sides, just because instinctively you do kind of get used to the rhythm of playing on one side.
Or playing in a phone booth situation, which is at left guard or right guard, and then playing at the edge on an island as a tackle.
Yep.
These are very difficult things. Larry Allen did it all. He did it all. So, like Bruce Matthews. So, the only two guys that played on three different positions, was a Pro Bowl, not a Pro, but an All-Pro. That's what a first-team All-Pro selection at three different offensive line positions there. So, incredible. And, again, just adds to the greatness of the legendary Larry Allen. So R.I.P. to him, of course. Now, rolling into NFL news. By the way, with that drop by Jet Li, 20 points. A Tony Pollard holler would get you the Stream Boss from Mark Hovsepian. Still hanging on. But let me move on to just some basic NFL stuff. Here's only a couple tidbits before we get right back into Cowboy stuff. The Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, they're bringing back a familiar name to their team, Cameron Sutton. And the reason I bring him up is because he's a cornerback. Been floating around out there. If you want to get some cornerback depth, which we need, these are some names out there. Now, I don't have the numbers yet, but it's a 1-year deal. And I'm assuming it's going to be, $3-4 million at best here. Maybe not even that. Maybe at max. So the Cowboys actually if they want somebody who can provide some kind of depth behind our top three corners, because after that, it's a long drop. It's a far drop. I would say let's bring in a cornerback out there. There's still a lot. I talked about him the other day. I know Gilmore's out there. He wants $8-10 million. Cowboys ain't paying that, but you got other guys in there that you can get. Steven Nelson, man, that'd be solid. And he can get him for $3 million probably maxed out. So I'll check on Cameron Sutton, who was released by the Detroit Lions after the off the field incident he had. Then he now back in the NFL, but now with the Steelers. So that's one little note there about position, need for us, and just another name off the board. But there's a lot of cornerbacks out there, and they're going to get cheaper. So, even some good ones will be for good bargain prices. I would suspect, look for that in the next 5 weeks. A Cowboys cornerback here, a new Cowboy cornerback signed to not be a starter necessarily, but to be that fourth guy, that fourth veteran guy, someone that we can pay a couple million to and have, basically 4 starters on this team at cornerback for 3 spots. Especially when you think about Zimmer's defense requires more corners because Dan Quinn's required more safeties. We have the safeties. We have 5 safeties. We have them all. We've said, but the corners, you only have 3 solid ones, and after that, it's a big drop. And we use a lot of corners. One goes down. Nashawn Wright's in there. Eric Scott Jr., Kalen Carson. I'm talking about rookies, second-year guys, and very unproven. So, and Nashawn Wright, who just probably won't even make the team. So, you guys feel me on this? With these, our 3 starters, Jordan Lewis in the slot, Diggs coming off the tear, and then Deron Bland. So just look out for more corners out there. There's still some left. The Packers. Now this is kind of important when it comes to Dak Prescott. It relates to Dak Prescott. The Packers, they want to get a contract extension done with their quarterback, Jordan Love. Already, yeah. And they're trying to get it.
They're trying to really get ahead of it,
They're trying to get it done before the beginning of training camp. So the GM for the Packers, Brian Gutekunst, he basically expressed those same sentiments today.
Well, they have a few weeks.
And again, he said, basically he's going to have a month and a half or so. This could be scary if he, again, I should not affect the Dak numbers, but if he gets $56 million, then Dak can make a case that I'm still better than him, even if he beat my team in this past playoffs. But my point is that Jordan Love has more of a future, while Dak, is kind of, I think, more under the $55 million range to me. Between 54 and 55 is where Dak would probably fall, while someone like Jordan Love, it'd be interesting to see if he gets 57. That'd be insane to me if
I
he
don't
gets
disagree, but I'm going to also mention what I think I've mentioned before a few times. This is his first contract, and like you said, a breakout season, he's still on the earlier side of some of these kind of quarterback deals. Yeah. So, he could still plead the case that, they're on different levels, quarterback wise. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm trying to say? So anyway, that's all.
I got you. I hear you. I just, I'm looking at the chat as well. Jet Li said Larry Allen played 4 positions. I know, but he was not all pro. First time all pro, whatever that is. Yeah, he was not a first team all pro at 4 positions. He was a first team all pro at 3 positions. That's what we're talking about here, Jason. I know he played a lot all over the offensive line, but he did not. I'm assuming at right tackle he did not play. He didn't play center, so I'm assuming at right tackle he did not have his best, his dominant year like he had at the other 3 positions, which he was You know,
Yeah, he
basically
probably
first
just
team
had a
All-Pro.
really good year.
Yeah, exactly. So again, you talk about guys like Zach Martin and Tyron Smith and Frederick, and you realize, wait, like Larry Allen was better than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about how you slice that. So, anyways, and also another comment here. Let me see, what was the other one I saw here? Brandon J. talking about the Eagles signing, Max Sharping, scrub. I don't care about that. It's more about the fact that we are the highest valued franchise, right? $9.2 billion.
Yep.
And not just in football, but in major American sports. And yet we are the lowest spending NFL team this offseason by a lot. And that doesn't mean anything. I know it's about salary cap, so I understand that. But Jerry Jones is making the money, and he's not trying to, in my opinion, even spend the money to give us a better chance to win sometimes. Like without getting these deals done earlier in the offseason, being ready for this stuff, Steven and Jerry Jones, now we're sitting here not able to make moves this offseason because all the players are gone. So again, you have the money. Why are they pinching pennies? I don't understand it. When you have money to spend on the cap, or even if you're going to sign future guys, well, then sign them. Get those extensions done. Why are they waiting now to maybe get one or two done and screwing ourselves when we do the next one next year? So when you look at the teams, how much they've spent this year, the Lions were number one, $626 million. The Eagles were second with $558 million, and they had a big cap hit. I mean, they were not with that much cap room overall. So the Panthers, the Jaguars, the Patriots, those are the top five spenders this offseason. The bottom three, the Chargers, $150 million. The Steelers, $147 million. And the Cowboys, $93 million. I mean, we're talking about over $50 million difference between 31st and 32nd, on this list of spending. Cowboys don't spend. That's the front office fuckery. Plain and simple.
Oh my God, Donna said it too. Players like Larry Allen don't grow on trees.
Yeah, that is fact.
Skeptical fan said Jerry thinks deadlines make deals.
Yeah, Steven.
And again,
Steven does. Steven's the guy who says that, I think, more than anybody, right?
Yeah, and look, in principle, is not wrong. It's just waiting till the last minute for anything. Again, yeah, sometimes you can get a deal, but more often than not, you're paying for the privilege of trying to get something done last minute.
Huh.
I don't know. Just saying. Like, you're usually, the teams or, anybody who plans things out, and does things with a little more time can usually get a better deal.
Yeah, and again,
like, that's just like, you can apply that like across the board to basically anything.
I understand the CeeDee Lamb situation, but you still have Dak and Micah. You could have had deals done before you got out of the month of March. They didn't plan properly. That's the effing fucking clown show, as I've been saying for 7 years on YouTube here. So, any other quick comments before we keep it moving here, baby?
Dark Raven, I think that's for a different section of YouTube.
Oh, you mean the After Dark sessions? Yes. I'll be
But
looking
Go
forward to
Cowboys
that.
always,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So Asmodeus said it. This is one hell of an ego-driven front office.
Oh, yeah.
It's, again, when you have situations like that, that means that you're making emotional decisions as much as you can make business decisions. When the two are intrinsically tied together, you can't really separate them no matter how much you want to. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like it's hard to be biased against your own, your own kid or something. Like if you had your own kid on your team, you're either going to overcompensate and try to act like you're not biased, or you're going to probably maybe be a little biased. Yeah. It's very hard to, and again, maybe you can play it fair, but there's always going to be a moment or two where, mom or dad is going to slip out. It's natural. So, the ownership is going to slip out when you're making business decisions. Anyway, done with that. Let's go ahead and keep it rolling here, right? So, wait, before we do, because I can see it coming here, Mr. Jetly44 dropping a $2 holler.
That's going to send Marco Seppian to 18 points on the stream, boss. What did he say with that $2 drop, which should be hitting any minute?
Need to retire 73 and put Larry Allen in the Ring of Honor. So
I agree with Larry Allen. I mean, he's already in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought
he was. I thought he was Ring of Honor. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's in the Ring of Honor, Jet Li. And 73 currently will not be taken by anybody because, will not be retired anytime soon.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Not yet. It's kind of like number 88. It's going to be keep giving up number 94. You got number 73, which means a lot for this organization. And Tyler Smith is a guy who's repping it well.
I actually, again, it's not that I'm 100,000% against retiring numbers. There's a few times where I think it is appropriate. But
Tyler's
for the
fault.
most part, I think it's much better to carry on the legacy of that number by adding to it. Just because, again, you either, like, when you hear that number, you're either going to think of the person who made it famous, or you're going to start thinking of, you know, the other people who added to that legacy. And that's everybody's hope. That when you hear 73, you don't just think Larry Allen. You're going to think Tyler Smith one day, right?
Yeah, and say, yeah, exactly. I agree. And the other thing is this. I want to make it clear for everybody, Jason, you know, Jet Li, everybody. The Dallas Cowboys retired 0 numbers. None. No numbers are retired for the Cowboys. That's something the Cowboys never said they will ever do. Death, greatest of all time, none of that matters. No numbers will ever be retired, at least right now, according to Jerry Jones. That's been a thing. It's always been the way it's been. But you do realize number 12 is not given out. Roger Staubach. You do realize number 22 is not given out. Number 8 is not given out. 22 is Emmett. Aikman is 8. Those 3 numbers have kind of been put in like gold right now. Those are like the not official retired numbers for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Every other number outside of that, there's legendary status to that. 94, 73, and number 88.
Yeah, like I think a great example of a good time to retire number, and I'm, you know, Pat Tillman. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's what I'm saying. There are some exceptional circumstances where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think it's right to maybe retire a number. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, for that team. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
like, obviously,
yeah.
our team hasn't had a situation. I'm just trying to use an example where I think that would make sense.
Right. No, I know what you mean.
But
But again, I don't even think the Cowboys, that would be the only thing the Cowboys would make it, I think, an official retirement if they were to do that. But you know, even that might not be an official retirement.
Yeah, and thank you, Skeptical Fan. That's what I thought. So, yeah, during the halftime show, the Cowboys-Seahawks game, November 6th, 2011.
Larry Allen was.
Yep. Drew Pearson and Charles Haley.
I remember they did all 3 of them. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyway, Seabass, shout out to you. Much love.
That's funny.
To
Look,
the man.
those are the 3 numbers we just spoke about. Think about that. Haley, 94.
Yeah.
They still give out. 88, Drew Pearson.
Yeah.
And then number 73, Larry Allen. I mean,
you
those are the 3 numbers that they kind of, and again, it's not that way for like number 33, Tony Dorsett. It's not that way for number 50. It's kind of, those are like the next tier down, you know? It feels like, unfortunately for Tony Dorsett, 'cause that to me is a number that should be saved. But I understand why Emmett's is in gold. No one's taking that number ever.
Exactly. So, yep, 74, Bob Lilly.
Yeah, true. But some of those guys have played in preseason with number 74. The thing is that once the regular season comes in, they switch numbers. No one touches 12, 8, or 22, ever.
Kevin
even
Silva,
in,
what's up?
Even in practice, yeah.
So, back to you, baby.
All right, yeah, there we go. We got some fun there. We got a little discussion. Great stuff. And thank you.
Yeah, this is the type of fun Cowboy discussion, you know.
And now let's get to the discussion that is now business, which is the Dallas Cowboys and what's going on for 2024, starting with the big bubble, our head coach, Mike McCarthy. Now,
Pop the bubble.
Mike McCarthy, guys, started off, it was a good question by Todd Archer from the Cowboy Media. He basically added, said, hey, what is your feeling and the coaching staff's feeling with the uncertainty across the board when it comes to contracts, but specifically coaching contracts, right? Everyone's deals. And McCarthy said that after they got past the combine, they kind of were able to like not really think about it or they kind of moved past that mindset. Like once they're already in football mode, it didn't make a difference to him, is what he was trying to say. But before that, obviously, they were thinking about the fact that we got to really do it this year, and then going with that into the season. Once they're in the season, they've kind of thought about and focusing on the season, right? So that's how McCarthy kind of answered that. He said, quote, "Nobody wants to be on a 1-year contract. We can all understand that, but the emotion of what that does to your family and so forth." But then, like I said, he continued by saying that, once we got through the combine time and we're in the combine stuff there, it was, we were just back to scheming, putting the scheme together, getting the drafts. It was not about, oh, woe is me, we're all on 1-year deals. Now, McCarthy also brought up, some things about these, OTAs, but really about this mini camp, which is today's the second day, and it was one day before this one. And he started off talking about Dak Prescott, saying how, quote, Dak is having his best offseason program that we've had so far with him. And then he elaborated by saying, quote, his connection with his receivers is better. The real test will be when we get to training camp. But basically, he said that the passing game, as far as McCarthy and Dak, the passing game has met all of the spring thresholds that he had set. McCarthy said that. Adding more to that, saying again, the connection with the perimeter realm for Dak is getting better. I just think, like anything with a quarterback, when the connection is better, I think these young receivers are playing with more urgency. They're getting more reps. The timing is better from Dak. The real test will be when we get to training camp. I think what we set out to accomplish, we definitely hit the target in the passing game as far as the quarterback and as far as the offensive perimeter. So it sounds like we want to attack the outside a little bit with Dak and these new receivers. Because again, no CeeDee Lamb. We're hitting them deep with rookies and second-year guys in there. So then he also added in there about another player for us. The injury update side of things, Trayvon Diggs. And
how's he doing?
Yeah, McCarthy said that Trayvon Diggs, quote, looks great in his return from that torn ACL. He also said that there's a real chance Trayvon will start training camp on the PUP list, but he's in a good spot, end quote, which we kind of assumed here. He's going to be on the PUP list, which
honestly is great because that means that he's right on track.
Right. That's where he's supposed. That's where he should be at. If he was, again, we don't know where he is in the PUP list. Like, is he almost going to get off it, or is he just kind of going to be on there for a while? We know there's different rules. He cannot stay on that list into the season, or else he's got to be out like 8 weeks or something like that. So he's got to get back onto the field before the last cut day. But we got time for that, and I think he'll be limited, very limited in these. He won't be even playing Oxnard, in my opinion. He won't be on that field. I think go back to Dallas, he has a chance to
like work in slowly.
Yeah,
and then we can officially put him on the team, and then finish that.
And again, I don't think that's going to happen fully until he get on that field with drills, until we get back to Dallas from Oxnard. That's my prediction on that as of now. If that's on pace, you want to be sure. That's probably when you really start putting him in a little more full blast.
Like you said,
about 2 weeks before the first game.
I was just about to say, until closer to cut day, they probably won't really even touch him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And we will see. Now, McCarthy added, he said, quote, we got to respect the timeline, but Trayvon looks good. Again, remember, he suffered this ACL, this tear on September 21st. So, it's going to be about 11 months by the time we get to the beginning of the season-ish, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the season starts. It's going to be 11 months. That should be ready to go kind of time for him by then. Now, I know I'm going to take Trayvon Diggs off the screen here, and I want to just talk about McCarthy because, guys, today the Cowboys officially, this is their final day of minicamp. They were supposed to have one more day. The problem is, McCarthy today kind of insinuated and told them that we're not going to have a media day tomorrow, as in Thursday. We're not going to have another day. They're going to have, the players will all be there, except for CeeDee Lamb. But the players will be, but they're going to have a special kind of team drill, team thing, team event, but not on the field stuff. So no more minicamp. This is the last time when we talk about them today on the field. The last time you're going to hear about them being on the field. When we talk about what this player said or that player said, outside of any quotes we missed, and maybe say it next week or something like that, you're not going to hear from players anymore. The only time you'll hear from anybody will be Jerry, Steven, when we get a player, and then maybe from that player.
Yeah.
If we sign a player like that, that's worth hearing from, I guess. But if we get, a fourth-string punter, we ain't going to hear anything from them. So here's the thing, guys. What are the Cowboys doing instead of this? Are they doing film? They're not going to be on the field? What's going on? Why are we not taking full advantage of this? The Cowboys are going to be hosting the Human Performance Company. What is it? O2X, which is operated by former Navy SEALs. And they're going to do that basically tomorrow, maybe finishing up the week at minicamp. Part of the reason they're using them, why? You guys remember? We talked about this last offseason towards right before training camp. About a week before training camp, Dak took everybody out to Atlanta, to the lake out there.
Yeah.
And the offense was out there. And then had the same team out there with him to kind of teach him about focus. And here's what it is. So they're going to be using 2 of the 3 allotted practice days on the field. And then the third day is going to be for this kind of session, which Dak Prescott has worked with his group, with his offensive team last offseason in Atlanta. And then I want to hear what McCarthy's thoughts on. Why is McCarthy all in on this now?
Yeah, because remember, like you said, last year it was just Dak with
with offense.
Some of his teammates. Now it's basically the entire whoever's at everyone who's at.
I would say it's a skill position. It was a running back, tight ends, and receivers. This year, it's a whole team thing, offense, defense, and the trenches and everyone.
So from McCarthy, quote, not to get ahead of ourselves here because we're going to be with them again today and tomorrow, but I've been super impressed with this organization. It's an organization of human performance. Just the shared experience of the staff they brought in here are incredible, but most importantly, to see our players and coaches connect with them. It's been very educational, and it's definitely something we'll look to apply to our operation. And we have other things that we're focused on. Because obviously people are asking, like, hey, you basically stopped doing football stuff for a whole day, canceled the whole practice and stuff to do this instead. You know, is that really worth it? Like, is that going to get you the results you want or whatever? So that's why he said we have other things we're focused on. We've got other things outside of scheme, so that's where the other time is going.
All right.
I mean, it's pretty clear that the other thing is team building, right? If you can get these guys to feel a little bit more bonded and close to each other, especially as they head off to the off season and probably won't see each other very often, you know, not everybody, obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until training camp, like, you want to make sure that the last thing they leave with outside of the obvious football stuff is that they feel like one entire unit. And it sounds like that's a lot of what happens here. You know, the Navy SEALs, like, I'm assuming that part of the training and stuff just helps the team kind of come together.
Let's just get it out there. Again, I'm going to leave McCarthy up there because McCarthy is the one that's working with them today. They work with them tomorrow. No practice. And they, again, maybe Friday as well. So here's the deal, guys. We know today concluded the final practice of the spring, the final practice of OTAs, the final practice of mandatory minicamp. So, hey, that means CeeDee Lamb saved some money. Right, he don't have to pay an extra $50,000 now. He's only getting hit for about $52,000 in fines instead of that third day, right? So he's saving a little money, but that's not the reason why the Cowboys canceled practice yesterday. Right. The next time you see the Cowboys on the field be July, end of July, in Oxnard, California for a training camp, baby. So that's it. Today was it. That's it. Today's the last practice before that training camp start. So this final mini camp practice day for tomorrow was canceled. And we know the reason why, right? Yeah. Hosting this human performance company, O2X, and Dak used it. And, you know, so anyways, here's a quick little summary of what it is, just to remind you guys. Part of the time the Cowboys will have on today, on Wednesday's practice, and tomorrow's practice will be spent with this 2XO human performance, a program that aims to, quote, support organizational excellence through our battle-tested, multi-dimensional approach. So that's what they say on their kind of site. It's kind of, you know, wording. Who knows what that means,
that
right?
Really exactly explain it.
Well, again, this is the same group Dak used. It's basically he hired them for a crash course with several of his offensive teammates during last year's offseason in hopes of gaining a mental edge. It's kind of for mental toughness as a team building, like you said. And basically, you know, NFL Insider revealed that this O2X group.
It sounds like they teach them Navy SEAL
like mindset,
you know, the kind of stuff the government teaches Navy SEAls to make sure that, you know, they
They're
can handle their
battle-tested
missions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
listen, they curated a 5-session curriculum, which is rooted in strategies that special operation units employ to thrive in high threat situations. So it's basically getting the mindset of, not necessarily you're in war, obviously, or you're, you know, but high stress situation in football. It's intense.
The thing is that mentally speaking, when you are in a situation like that, your body doesn't really know the difference between, like, you know, oh, I'm just like playing a game, or oh, I'm like actually at war or fighting someone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your body still reacts with a very similar physical reaction. So that's actually kind of interesting.
Dak did it last year with the offensive skill positions and himself. This year, the entire team is getting the 5 curriculum course here. So either way, I hope, for the Cowboys' sake, I hope that this gives the Cowboys as a team the tools needed to excel on the playing field in 2024, in this upcoming season. So I'm hoping it's working. I hope it works. But either way, you know, Dak seemed to sell it right, and it seems to be something that the Cowboys, front office, coaches are all in on as well. So we'll see if this helps the Cowboys in any way at all. Now, moving on from McCarthy and the practice stuff, as far as the discussion, we got to talk about the practice stuff on the actual field. A couple important things to kind of say, guys. So first and foremost, Cowboys had their final on-field work in the offseason today. And just so you guys know, it's just a glorified OTA. No team drills, but there were 7-on-7, drills and 2-minute work drills. Dak Prescott led the offense and ended the drive with a touchdown of Jalen Tolbert. Yeah. So again, he's in the mix now. Number one to Jalen Tolbert. He kind of got lost in traffic by the defense when he ran his route. Then they tried a 2-point conversion. It was missed because Jalen Brooks, the guy competing for that third spot, slipped. So, just a little tidbit. Nothing big. This is not going to make or break anyone. But we're seeing the Cowboys are using Tolbert and Brooks a lot on their starting offense. Now, there was a 3-play sequence when there was the goal line session, 7-on-7 drills. No offensive linemen, but those 7-on-7 drills, there was a 3-play sequence. It's important to kind of go through real quick. Eric Scott Jr., last year's 6th-round pick, cornerback, he tipped the ball in the end zone. And it ended up being a diving TD catch for undrafted rookie wide receiver Cam Johnson. All right? That was one drill there in the end zone. That's how that one ended up. Then you have Eric Kendricks. His coverage ability stood out. And that's in the next play on those 7-on-7 drills in the red zone, on the goal line, basically. Dak Prescott dropped back, threw a dart to the middle to the middle flat. And that's where Kendricks was, fully extended, to cause another tip. This time, Donovan Wilson went horizontal in the back of the end zone for the interception. So the defense in Kendricks, in this Zimmer defense, is exactly where you're supposed to be at. Causing, again, 2 tips in a row. One was a touchdown, and the other one was a pick by Donovan Wilson in the back of the end zone. The defense went crazy. Kendricks was celebrating. I love to see that from Kendricks. He's a Cowboy now. Like, just on that play, he's like, they know he's part of the team, even if he's new. And he also feels like he can help them place where he's got the green dot. So he's like the leader of that defense. Think about that. I know we got Micah and Trayvon. No, Kendricks is truly the leader of the defense because Zimmer's defense runs through him. So that's good to see Kendricks involved in that, being in the right spot and showing the defensive teammates how to do it right, And then, thank goodness that we had, Donovan Wilson there, obviously alert and getting that pick. The next play, I guess, was revenge for Dak. Because then Dak threaded the needle through a lot of traffic, found a streaking Brandon Cooks behind the goal line coverage over the top for a touchdown. So, again, Dak then got the TD. So it was a touchdown by luck, but it was a great play by Eric Scott Jr. The second one was, a great play by Kendricks with that interception by Donovan Wilson. And the next one was Dak threading the needle to Brandon Cooks for the TD right over the top in the goal line coverage side of things. Dak and the offense went crazy celebrating at that point. The competition's heating up between these two sides, offense, defense. And, hey, I'll get there, guys, because today was a feel of training camp.
I'm excited to see that energy in training camp.
Oh, it's going to lead me to it because you'll hear a lot. I have a lot more details here, really, of what would happen today. Since it's our last day of practice, I want to make sure I got the true inside of things. So that's the Dak side of things. The Dak drives. He's connecting with his receivers. That's what McCarthy said beforehand. It's still happening, obviously. So, and these are not CeeDee Lamb now. These are the other guys. Now, Cooper Rush, he was in there. He threw a back line touchdown with the second team offense. So he was with the second team a little bit more today than with Trey Lance. And then connected again on the 2-point play to, quote-unquote, tie the game. The defense missed 2 chances at an interception earlier in that drive. So the defense is flying all over the place, but they're still learning it, right? They're learning the scheme of Zimmer. It sounds like we're ball hawking all over the place. First team, second team, third team. It don't matter. This defense is flying. Balls are popping up in the air. That's only could be good news for the defense in the end, right? So Cooper Rush did very well today. Trey Lance probably had his best throw of the entire offseason. He had a deep pass to number 1, Jalen Tolbert. He got some run there with those guys. Tolbert caught, again, he converted a 3rd and short and then threw the ball deep to Jalen Tolbert for the big first down. Perfect throw from Trey Lance to the outside shoulder of Jalen Tolbert. Then the next play, wide receiver rookie Ryan Flournoy made a Des Bryant-type catch on a fade route for a touchdown. Trey Lance was not successful in a 2-point conversion, but the point is Ryan Flournoy involved. You're getting Tolbert involved with Trey Lance. You're saying Trey Lance is connecting with these guys from all. Of course he's going to connect with the rookies because he's practicing more with the rookies.
Yeah, the same way that Cooper Rush always connected with the backups. You know what I mean? Trey Lance is building his own relationship with his own receivers, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And this always happens with backups. So Trey Lance is starting to get in there, and of course, one of them he's building, comfort with is Jalen.
Now,
Tolbert.
Seabass, we better take it easy though, because people might hear, and I'm just saying, like, some people might hear us say that about Trey Lance and start running wild with that though.
I don't know what he said. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not about what he said. Oh my goodness.
No, I feel like I can't follow.
Because it's from a chat thing. Oh, okay. Don't worry about it.
All right. So, anyways, Trey Lance, guys. Again, the thing here is that Trey Lance, even though he had a nice little kind of touchdown, drive there going, he earlier he kind of made a little mistake there. He did a fade drill from different yardages as well to practice with a net in the corner. Now, Dak did that as well, and Trey Lance also was doing it. Dak was hitting most of the passes to the corner in the net. Trey Lance was not hitting the net at all. He was not getting so Trey Lance was just kind of off in depth on the timing and where the ball placement should be. But in the actual practice, he was on. So he was off on that practice with the little barrels or whatever, the nets, but he was on the field, which is good to see. So he's getting better.
Yeah, that's when we need him to actually be good.
In the actual practice scenario, not to just stand there trying to throw the ball into the hoop, he didn't miss. There was another one he did, another great pass, that timing pattern. So he's getting better. Another great one, but this time, I think one of the receivers dropped it.
Yeah. But so Steven Johnson, thank you for subbing it up. Appreciate you.
Yes, welcome to the family. Go Cowboys. Yes, we're here. Trey Lance looking good out there, even if he's messed up a little bit in the pre-practice stuff. I'm going to continue going on Ryan Flournoy, because Flournoy kind of showing up. We talked a lot about him. He got a little hype there, a little hype bump before we got to see him on the field fully. And now he's kind of being utilized, and you see him making plays. Let me explain something here. Something to watch in this training camp upcoming. Flournoy is going to probably turn some heads in Oxnard, make some plays. He's going to be up there with Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert fighting things out, because he's making plays right now, just flying across the field. I'm not saying this is going to be the definite thing. Things will be different when the pads come on. But he's looking good. He's making plays out there. And, he had a back pylon grab for a touchdown that was at the height of his vertical. So he basically, perfect timing to kind of high point the football. And, has the strength and the width to kind of go up there and get it. Caught it at the top of his vertical jump. The cornerback never had a chance, even though there was sticky coverage. Cornerback couldn't get it because the ball was thrown high, and he high pointed it perfectly. He timed it perfectly. So he elevated, snatched it at the high point after running a very good route to give us a little separation, and then battled his own momentum by basically contorting in the air on the way down, and was able to tap both feet inbounds for the touchdown. So I expect him to definitely do some of those kind of things in training camp. Flournoy. And it was number 14, I think, because I know we got 2 14s on this team, I think. He's going to be a guy I would say, along with all the receivers, the depth is good on this. I'm talking about after CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, let's say it's Tolbert. You got Jalen Brooks. You got Flournoy. You got Kevontae Turpin. I'm just saying we have a good set of guys here to kind of work with as far as the top 6 with the depth and the guys that are starting. So, I'm trying to look at the rookies here and see the jersey numbers. Here they are. Yeah. Oh, Flournoy is 18. So again, there's 2 18s on the team. Keep that in mind. One on offense and one on defense. But we're gonna keep an eye on Mr. Flournoy and see how he does in training camp officially. Now, at the end of Wednesday's mini camp practice, there were the 7-on-7 drills. They ended it with that, and of course, like I said, Trey Lance connected on that 3rd and short for a 40+ yard completion. Perfect pass, by the way. He had a very solid 7-on-7 passing session, and according to some of the media there, it was impressive. The coaches were kind of looking like clapping impressed with Trey Lance.
Okay.
Now, injury updates. Let's get with Luke Schoonmaker. Yeah, a guy that seems to be a bust as of right now. I don't know, but we're not very too happy with his injury situations 2 years in a row. Him and another tight end, Peyton Hendershot. Remember, he's out with an injury, right? We actually know a little bit more about Hendershot. Because remember, he had some kind of injury that kept him out of OTAs. This is another injury, nothing to do with OTA injury.
Okay.
Another injury. So this is not about a Schoonmaker. He was not practicing. We know that. But Peyton Hendershot, what was his issue? All right, he had a minor medical procedure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That prevented him from participating in the first day of minicamp on Tuesday. He had been previously dealing with an ankle injury, and that's what kept him fully out of the OTA participation, the ankle injury. This is not an ankle injury. This is another minor medical procedure he had to do, and we don't really know what it's about.
It could be like a freaking wisdom tooth removal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is.
Be a skin tag.
Like
who knows?
Yeah.
You know, it's something minor. But the point is,
hey, good to know it's not like
it doesn't sound like it's
necessarily an injury related.
It's not the ankle injury that he had that kept him out of OTAs.
Yeah,
but
remember, I'm assuming if it was somehow injury related, that would have to be reported.
I agree.
It has to be personal.
It has been stated the procedure is not related to the ankle injury.
Perfect.
So that we got that there. But had he been present, remember he was not here for both practices. CeeDee Lamb was not given the excuse, but of course Peyton Hendershot has an excuse for the minor medical surgery, medical procedure. But if Hendershot would have been at practice, where would he have been with his injury, with his ankle? He wouldn't have been playing. He would have been in the rehab group that, as he recovers from the ankle injury. So even if he was there, he wouldn't be participating in the actual drills. So the ankle issue is not related to the procedure, and that's the update on that side of things at the tight end position. But I do want to bring up one last note about we're missing two tight ends, right? Hendershot and Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
You know who is taking number one snaps? Brevin Spann-Ford, the undrafted tight end.
No.
The guy who's 6'6", 270 pounds. He's like the sixth lineman. This is the guy I think is going to make this team. I know you guys laugh at me about this, but
look,
he's going to make this team.
He is probably the luckiest, random pick you could ask for, just because, again, not saying I never want to wish injury on anyone. It's just that these injuries created an opportunity for him to get so many quality snaps that he, like you said, he actually might stand a chance now.
Listen, he was going to stand a chance anyway. You remember who we paid him like $250,000. Like, that's not really known to do. You don't really pay a guy that much.
I forgot.
He is going to make this team.
Who? So why don't you remind us all who this man
Brevin
is?
Spann-Ford, I think, was he from Minnesota? But the point is that he was undrafted. We talked about him as probably the best undrafted guy we have, a tight end. With John Stevens Jr. also not involved in this practice, you have no tight ends here. You got Ferguson, and then who? Right? So then you have the undrafted guy, Alec Holder, I think, from UCF. And then this guy here, who is going to I believe will make the team, Brevin Spann-Ford. It's a hyphenated name, by the way, Spann-Ford. So Brevin Spann-Ford is kind of like a blocking tight end. And he's big. He's one of the bigger guys on the field. He's a guy that a lot of teams wanted after the draft. The Cowboys paid for his services, basically, as almost between a practice squad kind of money and a guy who's getting like league minimum. It's like he got much more than one of these undrafted guys, but he also, of course, got a lot less than the league veteran minimum as a regular guy on the team, with experience in the NFL. So it's incredible he got that much money. But the fact that there's no Hendershot, there's no, of course, Schoonmaker, there's no John Stevens Jones, and all these guys might be out for a little bit. Well, then Brevin Spann-Ford is gonna get snaps, like you just said. He's gonna get snaps in training camp, and the fact that he's a blocking tight end, and he could be a number 2 or number 3 guy in goal line or whatever. This is why his services will be very desperately needed. It could cost someone's job, like Lipke. I'm just saying it could cost Lipke's job.
Because this is a 2-for-1 deal. Again, versatility is definitely feeling like the dominant factor here, and not just Dallas. I think teams overall, like, they are making those types of decisions at a lot of positions. So, as the NFL gets, more delicate with what you aren't allowed to do, teams have to kind of be more skillful, more, you got to finesse things a little more. So I think this is one of the ways you can see that, and it gives this guys like Spann-Ford an opportunity to shine. So,
I mean, he's 6.
Mark Hosepian, shout out to you.
Mark in the house.
Aloha. Stream boss.
Hell
he
yeah.
said, just got in. Who are we talking about? So, baby,
you
want to give us a quick recap?
Yeah, just a really, as far as what we're talking about right now, Dak had a good day. Trey Lance had a good day. We the receivers, the young guys had some good days. But we talked about tight ends now and kind of injury updates. No Hendershot, minor procedure, but also has an ankle injury, unrelated. And then you have, of course, John Stevens-Jones recovering from the ACL from last year. He's not in practice. Schoonmaker, your favorite guy, Schoonmaker, he's, of course, out with the shoulder surgery situation. He's not going to be back till training camp, maybe. So, yeah, disappointment across the board there. But the important thing is that this undrafted rookie, Brevin Spanford, again, he played with the Minnesota. I forgot which team. Who were they? I'm drawing a blank with Minnesota. But anyways, college he played with Minnesota, and he is 6'7", 270 pounds. He's not the most, he's not going to catch you a lot of passes as much. He's your sixth offensive lineman, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And so I wanted just to clarify something. This guy is getting, very important snaps. He's getting number one run-throughs and walk-throughs in multi-tight end sets. 2, 3 tight ends. He's getting used as a second tight end. He's getting used as a third tight end, moving around, using him as the H-back, almost a fullback type blocker. Again, it reminds me a little bit like Princeton Fant from last year. Or not Princeton. Is it Princeton Fant?
Isn't it?
There was another guy. I think it might have been. Anyways, our Fant guy. I know he has a brother playing or a cousin that's playing in the league, but our Fant that we have, he's kind of been playing that other tight end spot as well. These are only 3 tight ends we have in this team. So, I think Spanford, Brevin Spanford is going to get a lot of opportunities here to be that blocking, goal line, short yardage, second or third tight end. Even with Schoonmaker there. Even with with John Stevens-Jones. So we'll see what happens. We're talking about the tight end for a second here position and some of the guys not practicing. Another guy not practicing, of course, is DeMarvin Overshown, the rookie, right? I mean, the second-year guy got hurt in his rookie year.
Yeah, in a similar Trayvon Diggs-esque position.
The same day as John Stevens-Jones in that damn Seattle game. Tore the ACL. He continues his rehab on the sideline. McCarthy, I'm going to remind everybody, he said during the OTAs that he is ahead of schedule. So, again, kind of like Trayvon, kind of like John Stevens, kind of like Durden, the receiver. All these guys are going to come back kind of at the same time because they all kind of got hurt around that same time. So, we'll see how that goes. But, again, ahead of schedule for Overshown. We hope that continues that way. Now, as we kind of finish up here on the day, again, we're going to have some quotes from some of the players. I know you have some important information from Zack Martin. We're going to hear from Dak and Zeke. But let me finish up the day in, it's just one last thing. And this is important because this is the rookie talk here. Like, Cooper Beebe. Is Cooper Beebe, is he ever going to play? He's playing guard with the second team or center with the second team. Is he ever going to get a lot of work, though, at center only? And again, right now, he's been, these 2 days, he's been consistently working at center.
Okay.
Now, back in the OTAs last week and the week before that, he was kind of guard and center and second team mainly. But he's getting a lot of reps at center with Dak Prescott, with Trey Lance, and with Cooper Rush. All 3 guys are getting reps with Cooper Beebe at center. So his center snaps are increasing, and that's a big thing.
I think it makes sense. When you first get the player, regardless of maybe where you anticipate he's going to end up, you want to put him through his paces, so to speak. So they probably just had him do all that just to evaluate him. But obviously the intention is, you're gonna be hopefully, full-time center.
And again, that's obviously with the Cowboys' hope, and the reason why they drafted Cooper Beebe was for that. So just to see how they're working multiple quarterbacks and consistently at center. DaRon Bland and Eric Kendricks. I talked about the interceptions, but both these guys, they help cause picks, whatever. DaRon Bland had a pick today, and so did Eric Kendricks. So Kendricks, I think, is really, really a major. I know we only got a couple of guys, but he is the most major guy we got because of Zimmer and his scheme, and he knows how to run it. He's got the green dot in his helmet. These are important things to have, for Eric Kendricks. And the fact that he's doing well in our system already, it's good that he's going to be able to not just get down any tweaks or changes from Zimmer that he's done, but he's going to really get down the stuff to pass along to the players in game. I'm saying? Not in game, but in practice and stuff, and eventually in game. So it's very good that they kind of going to learn from him as well. Now, there was a lot of mixing and matching from different levels on the depth chart across the board. Like I just said, Cooper Beebe going with all three guys, but a lot of guys were at the, that are third stringers were playing with first stringers. With sometimes receivers, sometimes a running back. But the point is, it was a mix and match of different levels going at each other today. Rookie undrafted safety Julius Wood probably had the most athletic play of the day. He had an interception against Trey Lance. He picked off Trey Lance in a walkthrough. Again, not a big deal. It's a walkthrough. Take it with a grain of salt. But he leapt in the air and sucked the ball basically right into his hands very effortlessly, like it was nothing. It wasn't like Odell Beckham, but it kind of just the ball basically stuck to his hand, and he kind of was able to bring it in without much issue.
Effort,
it was kind of Odell-like, right? And the last thing I want to talk about, well, two things, but really this last one is really special teams.
Special teams.
Remember, guys, there's that new. I gotta remind everybody because people forget this new kickoff is going to really change shit up in a big way. Today was the first day that the media saw work consistently done on kickoffs.
Okay.
So maybe they're trying to sneak some stuff out. I don't know. But basically, in the last couple of weeks of these OTAs and whatever the media was there, you didn't see much. You just saw a couple guys catching kickoffs, but you didn't see lining up the whole lineup of the coverage situation. And you're going to see, looking on these fields now, you're seeing this for the new kickoff rule. The media get to see these guys kind of line up a little bit to what's coming up. And basically, it's going to be a lot more work on kickoffs and kickoff returns going into training camp. They're trying to keep it, I think, hush-hush. But basically, guys, with the teams lining up closer, and now a premium is now placed on kicks that land between the 20-yard line and the goal line. As you can see, that green, the landing zone. If you land in there, it's a fumble. If I think it's outside of that, it's not a fumble. And, of course, it's in the red, it's a touchback. But if it hits the landing zone, it is a free ball there for anyone. So we're going to have two returners. You can see the two little red dots on the screen on the left. That's where we're going to have. Right now, we're working Deuce Vaughn and Kevontae Turpin and having both of them in at the same time. So right now, the way it's looking, McCarthy kind of anticipating the returns in the NFL going from 20%, which is what it was last year, kickoff returns, to up to 60% this season.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely, especially when you consider the edge it could possibly give your offense.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much I'm just saying every team is going to have its own flavor, so I'm interested to see
it's gonna be fun.
How that ends up going, and of course, really, really crossing my fingers that guys like Turpin can finally, put some points on the board the way that he almost did this past season.
If he does get one or two, you know what team's going to do, right? They just kick the ball into the red zone there. I say the red zone, I mean the red end zone. The end zone if they kick the ball out of the stadium, out of the play of zone, what happens? Then it goes to the 30-yard line.
Yeah,
it's not really that great.
The red zone, not the red zone.
Yeah, that red end zone area. If it goes out the back of the end zone or into the end zone, it's dead, and it goes out to the 30. That's why teams want to try to avoid that. But if you give it to Turpin or Deuce Vaughn and they break it to the 35 every single time or beyond, you're going to probably have key teams to say, you know what, we're just going to kick the ball to the 30 and let them start there on offense, which already helps us, guys. Because, again, you get 30 more yards, now you're what? On their 40, that's a 57-yard field goal, and Brandon Aubrey can hit that. So, 30 yards, 3 first downs. I'm just saying, that's makeable for our offense, who, by the way, was the most efficient last year overall. Now, I just want to say this. Now, as Brandon Aubrey was working today on landing his kickoffs in practice in front of the media, trying to land them in that, not just the 20-yard area, but also directionally outside of the numbers to enhance coverage ability. So he was kicking it to, let's say, the 20 and the 10-yard line, but hitting actual numbers. If you look at your screen, hitting the numbers, the corners. So it doesn't go out of bounds, but it stays in bounds. You want to keep it around that, bouncing around on the left side of the field or the right side of the field, because if you bounce it that way, your defense is going to collapse on that into that corner. And that's the kind of lesson. Make the field cut in half, basically, by directing the ball to one of the corners. You can't let it go out of bounds or it goes to the 35. Remember that. So 35, teams don't want to do that. So it's a very crafty little kind of deal here, a new rule change. You got to be careful.
Like I said, it's going to require a lot of finesse.
Yes. And again, the teams can have 2 kickoff returners. The Cowboys had Turpin out there, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Jalen Cropper, all set up for returns today. So I'm excited to see it. Now, you know what else? This whole practice, guys, this entire practice today had a lot of energy, had a lot of trash talking. And honestly, what I've heard and what I've seen, it feels like training camp already for these very walkthrough reps. It's walkthrough reps, but it feels like it has that training camp vibe. You said it earlier. It does have that kind of like that energy. And again, we get a month and a half off of this, but
I think
we know what's coming soon.
I think Mark Hosepian's $2 holler, might have some insight on why it feels that way.
Hit me with it.
Shout out to you.
Much love to Mark.
Big mahalo. He said, I pray that he dumps McCarthy. He's a nobody. We need Bill. Now, do you know why I say that? Because that pressure right there, you talk about deadlines make deals. There's a certain deadline that's coming up, and the deal is you need to get us a ring. So I think the pressure is being felt by, obviously, McCarthy and all that, but it feels like some of maybe the more veteran players on the team are feeling that pressure too.
Well, again, I think that's the whole thing with Dak's contract.
That's what I'm saying. The entire team is on a bit of a precipice, and I know the Micah Parsons comments from the other day definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It's hard to say that you want to be a team leader when you're not necessarily showing up for every moment that the team needs because you individually want to make more money type of thing. So I see the argument both ways just because, again, the Cowboys had every opportunity to, get things done with Micah, and like we've repeatedly said, not showing up to something that is quote unquote optional. That's the whole point. If they wanted it to be mandatory, actually, I guess it is mandatory. That's why he's paying. Or is Micah losing money?
No, baby, he's at practice. Well, why? I'm confused now. What are you talking
about?
No,
I'm just saying, Micah, if Micah hadn't shown up, would he have lost money?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Anybody who doesn't show up loses money on mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, so he's just taking the most shit, unfortunately, here for, CeeDee Lamb not showing up to camp. So
yeah, he's, like you said,
but the comments about Zimmer definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Look, all I'm saying, referring to Mark Hosepian's comment, I don't hate McCarthy as much as I hated Jason Garrett. I still wanted Jason Garrett to have a good year so we could win a Super Bowl, right? That's what I wanted to see. I didn't just want to make us make the playoffs or win a playoff game. I wanted us to make a run, conference championship, Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. I was hoping for that with Jason Garrett. Of course, I never believed it. Kind of the way a lot of people don't believe in Dak or believe in McCarthy, right? I don't know if McCarthy can do that at this point of his career, maybe. I don't know. But my only thing is, he's going to have to get to an NFC championship to have any chance of keeping his job. And I don't know, anything less than that, he's obviously out of here.
Well,
now,
they're feeling the pressure.
I don't want McCarthy to have a 5-13 record, so we have to then, so then it's embarrassing and he gets fired anyways. Like, I want the team to make a run and you don't get to the conference championship, I want him fired. This is the third year in a fucking row we're saying this, right, Mark? Like, every year we're like, you don't make it, you got to get better. Nope, didn't make it, but we still hired 12-5, so he stayed. We won a playoff game that year, so he stayed. Then this past year, same shit. Now this year, it better not happen again. If it does, whether he ends up 12-5 and loses in the first round of the playoffs, or we end up with no wins, we go 0-17, he still gets fired, right? So Belichick will be there. And I'm 100% with Mark Hosepian about Belichick. You know what I feel about this. If you get Belichick, whoever he wants at quarterback is who we get. Is my opinion. I don't care if it's Dak, Trey, or rookie. So that's the way I look at that. And let Belichick run this thing, although he has to overcome his friendship with Jerry and Steven.
It's funny, skeptical, because I think I've asked this question before at some point. Would we rather continue to, get to the playoffs or get to the postseason, but losing before we get to the Super Bowl in any capacity? Or would you rather make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but we lose? What pain would you rather feel in a way?
I'm going to be honest, I don't even think about that. You know why? And I used to think about it. I used to be like, I don't want to make the Super Bowl if we're going to lose. But you know what? At this point, guys, I never thought I'd say this, and I probably said this a couple years ago, but, we were, as a Cowboy fan, and living through the good, the bad, and the ugly of the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and now, I never thought I'd have the mindset of like, we just got to get to the conference championship so I can be happy. Like, that was always Super Bowl or bust. And even if we don't make it, all right, so we busted, but we didn't get close enough, or we didn't, we needed still 2 or 3 more wins to get there. this situation now is like, I'm just desperate for us to break through to a conference championship. That's sad. That's coming from one of the biggest Cowboy fans and this mindset that if someone told me we just got to win let's just get to the conference championship, I'd say, you pussy. That's the way it was maybe 10 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago. But I got to say, now at this point, they've broken me. I just want a conference championship, game at this fucking point. This is what the Cowboys and the fucking clown show have done to this Cowboy fan. Mark Hosepian in the house, dropping that 5 on it, powering up. He's back to 24 points. Is that a Mukuamu on the stream, boss? What did Mark Hosepian have to say, baby?
Comparing Garrett to McCarthy is like having the runs 100 times a day to 75 times a day. I guess 75 times a day is better, but it still leaves a mess.
I say 50.
Clowns.
I say 50 compared. Not 70. 50 times a day. He's about half. He's a lot better. He's doubly better than Jason Garrett. But you still got the Joneses over their heads, both of them.
I was gonna say that is the one consistent factor, and the one thing that still bothers me a lot is that Garrett, for at least 1 to 2 years, probably had, just as talented, if not more so, a squad. At least as far as the timing, the cohesiveness, like who was actually there and held. Look, the point is that Garrett absolutely had enough weapons to get it done, but he consistently failed in much worse ways than McCarthy, and he also had a lot more time too, like a lot more time. McCarthy, unfortunately, also you kind of got to give him that first year mulligan because of the whole COVID shenanigans. Yeah. That was just a waste of a season, especially with Dak's injury and everything else. Like, well, did he get hurt that year, or was it the following year? Following year, sorry. So I'm just saying, so in 2 years almost, but, hey, he's not the first coach to have to deal with the quarterback injury. So.
Well, when he came here, we had COVID and no Travis Frederick, and then the whole offensive line broke down because they got hurt. That year, we were, struggling big time.
Yeah, so, and I guess that's COVID, the difference between you and I. Because I have to admit, I don't know that I'd want to see the Cowboys in a Super Bowl and lose. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would be
me neither.
Ready for that. Not saying
you
that I want that.
You suffered 10 years with me on this, but I've suffered
maybe I need to, that's what I'm saying. I think I might need to suffer a little bit more before I'm quite to that level.
Whatever it is going to be, 20 years more than me. I'm just saying, like, you're going to be suffering. You get to suffer. That means you suffer 20 more years to equal where I'm at. I'm going to be 50 years in suffering. I ain't waiting that long. I'm going to make it. That's what I was going to say. I'm like, I don't think I want to. Just take my word on this. Let's just get the conference championship game, and then we'll go from there. We'll go from there. You know what I mean? So I don't know what Mark thinks about conference championship. If we get to the conference championship, do you keep McCarthy? My answer is I'd rather not. But I'm trying to think of the only way that he could stay under Jerry Jones's mindset. No. That would be the way. Unless Belichick is like, I'm coming in here no matter what, unless they win a Super Bowl kind of deal.
Yeah, and obviously there's no coach that can quote-unquote guarantee you a Super Bowl. But the problem is that Bill Belichick is too tempting, I think, for Jerry to pass up if he's actually interested and available.
Yeah, I hear you. And listen, if we win a Super Bowl, I guess it's worth missing Belichick. Outside of that, bring Belichick in. I don't give a damn. We lose the Super Bowl, bring Belichick in. So anyways, that means we're close, and maybe we're just a coach away. I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to the players as we wrap this up here. Hopefully everybody brings, drops your love, drops your comments as we're finishing here down the stretch. As I discussed, we did the whole practice session, the last practice session, until probably July 25th-ish, when training camp kicks off on the field. They're going to be there 23rd or 22nd. They're going to check in. They get their equipment stuff. They're going to do some like non-padded walkthrough shit. And then the real practice comes through around July 25th. So guys, you're talking about basically about 5 weeks, 6 solid weeks of no football. There's no practice. There's nothing going down. Coaches are coaching and doing the scheme stuff. The players are working out. You'll see workout videos. You'll see me post a bunch of those there in the shorts, keeping ready and doing whatever they need to do coming out of these OTAs and mandatory minicamp. But that's really what you're going to see now. The only difference, the only thing you're going to see in these next 5 to 6 weeks that we're going to have to really go live for in a major way, who do the Cowboys sign? Did we sign CD? Did we extend CD? Did we extend Micah? Did we extend Dak?
Did we get any free agents?
I mean, we're going to have a little money. Are we going to sign these free agents?
Heck,
are we going to add guys?
Trade? Question mark? I'm just saying, I doubt it. But,
yeah. My point is that any movement on this team with players, signing our own or signing a new guy or training for somebody, whatever it is, That'll be the only news that's out there. And then a little bit of Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones talking bullshit. You know, they do. And we're going to hear from them probably once every week or two. Every bi-weekly or two. Maybe 3 or 4 times we'll hear them between now and training camp. So that's the way it's going to look the rest of the next month and a half. And here as well on My Cowboys Family. I mean, we're going to definitely not be bullshitting you guys if there's nothing going on. So we just go to, we just do the next night and fill you in on 2 days worth of news or 3 days worth of news. When we sign someone, we're talking all night long about it. So that's the way we're going to roll with this thing. But there's only so much we can do. So now we're here. This is the last practice before training camp was today. This is also the last time you're going to hear directly from our players in a media session until training camp. So, before we get there, any last comments in the chat, baby?
Yeah, I see Marco Seppian just dropped another.
Oh.
$5 holler.
I gotta move him up the board. He just dropped
hollow to him.
He just dropped 5 on it and up to 29 points on that. He's growing back up there on the stream, boss.
So he said, if we had Bill and Dak takes the next step, I have no problem paying Dak. The thing is, McCarthy isn't a quarterback guru. Our team lacks innovators like we had in the 70s and 90s. Yeah,
McCarthy is he's the guy taking his orders from Jerry and Steven. He's corralled. It's not just Belichick. It's not just Belichick and if he can do it or not do it or if he's better than McCarthy.
Yeah,
it's his friendship with the Joneses, I think, is the difference maker. He will be able to persuade them or maybe get a little more leeway on doing things his way rather than McCarthy and Garrett and Phillips and on, all these guys having to do it the Joneses way. Yeah, it's still going to be Jones's way, but it's going to be now with more flavor of Belichick. And the other ways, it's never flavor from Garrett or McCarthy or Wade Phillips. And there it is. There's the 5 on it. That's my viewpoint. You were going to say something too.
No, not just that. The problem is the timing of it too. Like in a perfect world, we could wait until, Bill Belichick comes in next year and then does some great stuff with Dak or whatever, but that's not the way that his contract is really aligned. Right? We don't really have a choice but to try and make a decision now before all those things kind of come to pass. So you either shit or get off the pot. So if anything, that's another consideration because if you're about to recommit to Dak for the next few years, do you really want to sink his last few years where you're spending money on him, with Mike McCarthy here if Bill Belichick can do a better job or vice versa? Do you want to, basically start from scratch again, get rid of that continuity to bring Bill Belichick in, who, even if he is really great, probably will not be able to somehow make it happen that first year. You know what I mean?
Right,
you are sacrificing a year to the transition, so to speak. So, I don't know.
That's the one thing I'll say.
Not as straightforward.
With Belichick, the transition is going to be more seamless, I believe. I believe we'll be fine. I don't mind. If we have most of the same players, the core, I'm fine with Dak. If that's who Belichick wants, I'm fine with whatever defensive coordinator he wants to bring in because he's a defensive mind. So he will be doing that. And, of course, it's really more important who's the offensive coordinator if Belichick comes in here.
True.
So there's a lot of things to discuss. But, look, right now, we're ways away from Belichick. We got a year of McCarthy still left in the chamber, and we got to shoot it out and see where it hits. So we got. I'm rooting for McCarthy because I'm rooting for the star over everything, right? That's the way I do it, right, Mark? I cannot cheer for a losing year so we can fire him. Because if we don't get the conference championship or beyond, guess what's happening? He's getting fired anyways. So at least give me something to cheer on the whole year. Not delusionally, but, all right, let's do well. Let's win and have a chance to at least get some confidence for the team to maybe make a run and get lucky and get to a conference championship. Maybe sneak into the Super Bowl, right? Maybe big the upset and get the Super Bowl win. You never know. I don't give a fuck if I'm coaching or Mark's coaching or whoever's coaching. Just win me the goddamn Super Bowl. So, that's number one for me. And then we'll figure it out. When he fails, assuming he fails, Mike McCarthy, and does not get us to a conference championship, could have 1 win, could have had 15 wins. Losing it in the divisional round or earlier is Mike McCarthy is not rehired, and that's it. And we're hiring somebody else. Will it be Belichick? Or will it be Stephen Jones? Because then I want McCarthy back. If Stephen Jones becomes the fucking coach, I want Mike McCarthy back tenfold. I'm just saying. You never know with this front office. Who will they choose next? What's the next puppet they're going to take? Because Belichick is the only guy who really cannot be a puppet fully. He could be partially a puppet, but he's don't put up with that shit like Parcells did. The difference is Parcells was not friendly with the front office. He was not friendly with the Joneses. He did not know them personally. But Bill Belichick, I'm not saying this to just blow smoke up your ass, guys. Bill Belichick knows Jerry and Steven personally. They are friends. That's the only thing that we can make maybe a slight move, a millimeter move in making kind of decisions, not GM, but by Bill Belichick GM-ishing a little bit and getting his influence on the Joneses in a way. McCarthy, Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, none of them could impose or get from the Joneses. Belichick's probably the only one, and before that it was only Jimmy Johnson. That's it. Jimmy Johnson was the GM. So I have my hands in the air because I don't know. That's all I can say, and I hope it goes that way. If it doesn't go that way, well, we'll probably get some fucking schmuck coach that'll be a puppet, and we're going to sit with another 5 years and bitch at as we get into the 2030s without a Super Bowl. Anyways, I'm melting over here. Let's get to the final portion of things. You guys can still drop your comments and your love and all that stuff. We will answer your questions. But, baby, let's get to the last couple of things. Now, Zach Martin spoke yesterday. We went over that stream. If you guys missed it, check it out. He had some really interesting stuff to say, but he actually added a couple more things today. One of them was about the rookies on this offensive line, which obviously is one of the biggest things we're watching this year, this offseason, is they're all stepping up. We got 2 rookies on the offensive line, possibly, and Tyler Smith on the left side. You know, some young guys, Terrence Steele on the right side off the ACL. Second year off his ACL, didn't have a good year last year, and Zach Martin getting, quote-unquote, older. So, Zach Martin, what did he have to say about the rookies coming on, and how are they doing?
These guys have done a really nice job. They've been on top of it in the meeting room and out on the field asking great questions. These guys can play. Tyler can move. Nate and Coop are big, strong guys. Physical guys inside. These guys are going to help for sure.
So in case you guys are wondering, that's not Tyler Smith. He's talking about Tyler Guyton. And then when he's talking about Nate, he's talking about, was it Nathaniel Jones? Is that his name there? And of course, Coop, we know that's Cooper Beebe. So again, big, strong guys, guys that can move. Good to hear from the guy playing on that same line with these guys, his thoughts on this new crop of offensive linemen. Now, he also spoke about retirement yesterday. Mm-hmm. And this kind of was asked of him, not asked of him, but he wanted to clarify, because a lot of people, we talked about it here, and I just don't think he's going to retire yet. I think he's got a lot left, at least 2-3 more years of solid elite play, but he wanted to,
his hearing all points about the comments, from yesterday were more like, hey, obviously I'm 34, it is time to start, thinking about it. That doesn't mean thinking about it as in, it's happening now, just again, thinking about it hey, yeah, I'm going to have to at some point soon, it's time to actually start thinking about it in a real way.
You got to remember, his contract is up after this year. I want to give you another example because, DeMarcus Lawrence, his contract is also up, and he's in the last year of his contract. He also today, walking off the field, just on an interview, just on a quick comment to one of the reporters, said he has no interest in retiring and his family will not let him anyways, kind of joking. He said he could play 5 more years. That's DeMarcus Lawrence. So I guess hearing this, Zach Martin came over and wanted to clarify that retirement talk. And he said it was overblown. What did he say, baby?
He said that he wasn't thinking about retirement, that he's going to wait till the end of the season to access his future because his contract is going to be up. But retiring is not at the forefront of his mind. He used the old Bill Parcells line that if you're thinking about retiring, you're already done. That all his energy is on being the best that he can be for this season.
In 2024.
Yeah, that's why I said that he was just thinking about retiring as a general concept, hey,
contract's up. I might not play again.
Exactly.
Kind of deal. I hear it.
So, and again, you already kind of mentioned the fact that Tank, thinks he's got 5 more years of juice left in the tank.
So he ain't gonna retire whether he's with the Cowboys next year or not. I don't know, but his deal is up. Obviously.
I mean, honestly, if Tyron Smith can find life after the Cowboys, why wouldn't guys like DeMarcus Lawrence or Zach Martin, if somehow we let their contracts expire and then we move on, right?
Of course. But my question is, how much would DeMarcus Lawrence get in the free agent market? Would he get $20 million again, $30 million like he's getting now?
Doesn't matter. It's going to be more than we would.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Him.
If we got him on a good deal, that's one thing. Like if he's getting paid $12 million and we get him for $11, he'll stay. I would do that. DeMarcus Lawrence is a run-stopping master, and he really gives the biggest headaches to most offensive linemen. I mean, they always complain about DeMarcus Lawrence, how hard he is to block. So you keep a talent like that. Same thing with Zach Martin, but if they want, 20, 30 million, then bye-bye. I think that's what the Cowboys are going to do. I think the front office is going to do that. So we talked about Cooper Beebe being the replacement for Zach Martin one day, possibly. Also talked about maybe Nate Thomas being that replacement for him one day. It could be. I'm just saying could be. There's a lot of different guys. We could have TJ Bass. Could be the replacement for Zach Martin. There's a lot of names floating around. Not now, of course. A year or two from now, 3 from now, we'll see. Now, that was it from yesterday. And again, Zach Martin and DeMarcus Lawrence will talk about retirement. Now let's get to the head honcho of the offense, the guy who runs the show on offense, your guy's favorite guy out here. Whether you love him or you love to hate him, Dak Prescott. He had a bunch of, said a lot today. He had a lot of thoughts today. So, baby, why don't you break it down for me? What did Dak Prescott discuss today? Because, again, Mike McCarthy said how Dak Prescott is having his best, OTAs, off-season program in spring. So what did Dak have to say about that, what McCarthy said?
He said, I agree. Because it's what I put into this game. It's what this game means to me, and I talk about it every offseason. My focus is always getting better overall in every aspect that I can, and in every aspect of my game and making sure that I'm pushing the guys around me. Mike's comments are a result of us doing that this offseason.
So again, whatever it is, it sounds like they're both hitting their stride. Again, last year was the first year of Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy learning. So it was kind of learning, those little bumps in the road there. Now they're more, I think they're smoother, and Dak's able to kind of put in more knowing what McCarthy wants out there, having a whole year under his belt of live football in that scheme. So that's good news there. Now, what about other guys not showing up? Now, we know about CeeDee Lamb, but what about Micah Parsons not going to the OTAs, which is just walkthroughs? What did Dak say about his teammate, Micah Parsons, not attending OTAs?
At the end of the day, these guys are professionals. This is optional. I'm here, right? I would love for Micah to be here. Trust me, he's heard me say that. But this is optional. And I know he's getting better. I know he's working on his body. So I don't have any angst or concerns there. He's going to be the best player that he needs to be. And he'll get himself that way in the training, and he'll get the knowledge that he needs from Zimmer and the guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, we kind of heard that already happening yesterday. So Dak hit that one right. Now, what about Zeke? The last few months, how have they been? With Zeke back in the building now at the Star with you.
Dak said, the fucking best.
Well, I'm not surprised about that. They're buddies, obviously. But he was also asked about, Dak was asked about, those on the outside that saying the Cowboys team is just not as talented as it was last year, which, again, we're one of those on the outside, saying that as of right now, the talent is not there yet. What did he say about that in the offseason moves, I guess?
Talent is just the beginning, first off. You don't win games with just talent. You don't win games on paper. And talent really isn't decided on paper. I understand what it looks like and what it may look like from the outside. I understand the lack of moves. I guess, done creates a conversation, but I'm confident in the men that we have. And he spoke very highly of our rookie class this year, and also just, some of our younger guys, like praising Jalen Brooks, Deuce Vaughn, even Jalen Cropper, just for, taking advantage of the opportunities, the
no CeeDee Lamb there, Cropper gets more chances on the returns as well.
They've really, I said, some of these guys not being there or not participating in the same way has created a lot of openings for some of these younger guys, and so far, pretty much everyone you've heard of has really risen to the challenge. You haven't heard about anybody so far who's shown up and fallen flat as of now. So that's
very early, but yes,
that's a positive sign so far.
And I love to hear that the fact that they really love their rookies. Every player is loving these rookies, and it's usually not always like that. You don't hear that very often.
I was gonna say not this amount of constant wow, our rookie class is feeling nice.
Now they asked McCarthy, how you feeling being on your contract year? Basically, this is the last, and for your coaching staff. Similar kind of sense of urgency for the Cowboys as a team with so many players and coaches in the final year of their contracts. What did Dak say about that?
This is the urgency you should always have, to be honest. Maybe guys who wouldn't normally feel it. I don't mind it. I've been in this position before. I'm a gambling man, and I'll gamble on myself and my guys. And then, making a joke, he's like, not actually. guys. Like, as in, like, he's not actually going to bet on.
Yeah, if he gambles, then he's
like,
going to be suspended for a year.
You want to make it clear, like, when he says he in metaphorical betting on his guys, not literal betting on.
If he was, a lot of the Dak haters would love him to bet because said he'd be gone for an entire year.
Not just that, but imagine if someone takes him literally there.
Forget it. That'd be silly. Anyways, we do have one last speaker, and that is Old Man Returneth, Zeke Elliott, but he's wearing that new number 15. So we know about the running back by committee. He's gonna, he wants to just win. He has a strong relationship with All-Pro quarterback Dak Prescott. He said it's as strong as it's ever been. I'm not gonna say anything. What did he say, baby? You tell me. What did Zeke say about his relationship with Dak Prescott right now, returning to the team?
He said he's just grown all around as a leader and a person, and he's a dad now. We're getting old. I'm really proud of Dak and how far he's come, and I know he's got plenty more left in him. I wasn't at all worried about how I'd feel when I got back. I was gone for however long, but I still talked to a lot of guys in the locker room, still hung out with a lot of guys in the locker room, so I just picked up where I left off. The main thing is, we're going to have some fun, but we're going to work. We're going to get to work. We're going to be taking ourselves forward. But we got to have fun doing it. So he also, by the way, since this is also one of the big kind of, I don't want to say arguments, discussions that we've had back and forth since Zeke has joined the team, about the whole RB1 and that consideration.
We know he'll be the RB1 because he's paid the most and he'll be the guy on the first play of the game. It doesn't make him actually, is he a starting running back? Like, is he a starter that can carry 70% of the load? I don't think so. What does Zeke think?
I still view myself as a starter in this league. But also, I got to take care of my body and make sure that I'm fresh for when it matters. What that's going to look like, I'm not necessarily sure, but we'll figure it out.
And he's talking about the three-headed monster of running backs we're going to try to have there with Rico Dowdle with him, and who knows the third guy is going to be in this running back by committee. So, and he has to, getting older, not knowing how many snaps he's going to get. It's going to be less. It's not going to be like it was when he was our star. So he has to make sure he treats. I've been saying this in the beginning that the Joneses overworked him. Literally after they got that deal done, the second deal, his first actual contract. After his rookie deal, he had that big contract he cashed in on. The Cowboys overworked him because he was getting paid more money. It's so stupid. They worked him to the point where they broke him. And they hurt him and they slowed him down. So now he's trying to keep himself healthier with this ability to not have to be playing. He knows he's not going to play a whole game like he used to. So now,
I was going to say, he has a very different mindset than he used to have, obviously, in his younger years where he can get away with some of that shit, right? He says, quote, I have a lot of new exercises and things to help me prep my knees, so I'm ready to go. It definitely takes a little more to get warm and get ready for those practices. You can't do as much Nick and Sam's as I want. And he joked, that's a Dallas steakhouse there. He also added in there, you've got to keep working out. You can't come into camp out of shape. We've got 8 backs right now, so plenty of depth. We've got a lot of good young players that bring a lot of good things to the table. I'm excited to get to work with them in camp and help them to continue to develop. I've got 8 years with however many carries, however many reps, and however many blitz pickups. And just the experience, I've seen just about everything. I just want to give them a little bit of my experience and any tidbit that can help them with their game. I don't know exactly what I'll look like, but we'll see. I love football, so I'm going to do anything it takes for me to help this team win, whatever that is. Oh,
that's what I like to hear from
it's
Zeke.
Funny because it sounds like part of it, too, is that, Zeke is going to share some of his football wisdom and knowledge, not just, doing whatever he usually... I don't know about whatever he usually does, because he's never been known as a selfish guy, but
he's coming to camp. Into training
it's more that part of what he's brought in for is to share that knowledge. I think that's the better way of explaining it.
He's come in to training camp, whether it was Cowboy, overweight, a little bit out of shape, and he can just rebound it when he was younger. Now he knows he can't do that.
Like I said,
and now he's going to help his
stuff he got away with when he was younger that he just can't get away with now, especially like you said, his knees. Like, man, we overran Zeke to the point where, by the time that he moved on, he barely had any knees left to him.
Yeah. And not only that, though, also, the fact that he knows he's not going to get run to the ground. It's important to him to know that, they're going to bring him in at the end of a game.
Yeah.
When we're up by 12 and there's 6 minutes to go, let's just run the ball. With Zeke, we trust him for that. Running the rock, working down the defense. And he was only used 5 snaps before that.
Or managing his snaps throughout the game so
Correct.
that, if we are in a critical, end of the fourth quarter situation, he can be out there and
we lean on him.
I don't want to say fresh necessarily, but not as worn down as he would have had he been carrying that type of load that he normally would have.
Yeah, the entire game.
Right?
So 100% agree.
So, again, I think for us, that's probably us as in general, the Cowboy fans, it's just going to be that mental adjustment of seeing Zeke used that way.
Yeah.
So
that's a wrap here, I think, on that. I see Michael Donna's comment here. Kind of 100% agree. It sounds like Zeke is all in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, we've always
been humbled
Zeke's
a little bit.
Basically always been a Cowboy, but...
Yeah, but he's been humbled a little bit. Now he's like extra focused because he knows where you can fall at. When you're only getting $3 million, he was making $16 million when he was last with the Cowboys.
Yeah, it sounds like he is fully 100% aware that he is here to contribute and not necessarily like dominate. I think that's a better way of explaining it. Like
not take over, right?
Yeah, he's part of the team. He's going to do his job. He's absolutely going to have some good moments and stuff like that. But it's not going to be necessarily the 214 show. Which honestly, I think that's part of the reason as well that he felt motivated to change his number. If he had worn the number 21, people would be expecting Zeke
to be
as
the same
21 Zeke.
Yeah, now
this is
now
15 Zeke. This is a different Zeke that we're getting, and that different number reflects that change.
Now we're in the 415, which is San Francisco, unfortunately. But that's the number combination we got out there. So anyways, that is a wrap on our side. Maybe any last comments?
Yeah.
And then let's get them shout-outs rolling.
Now, Luis Ortiz, shout out to you. And like Mike Aldana says, Zeke does sound like he's all in. So
he does. That's a good thing there.
James Hurst said, if Bill Belichick comes, by Will McClay.
Maybe. I mean, he might still want Will McClay to kind of help him with some, GMing stuff. But also, again, Bill Belichick will not be GM. He will just be maybe a more influential coach to the GM, to the front office. The GM is not Will McClay. The GM is Jerry
Belichick
Jones.
Doesn't want to necessarily be the GM. He wants to coach. He's not there to
but he's usually the guy running the show too there. I think that the big thing, he knows he can't do that in Dallas, but he knows how to talk to Jerry and Steven as friends that could convince and influence decisions. And I still think you could have a Will McClay. You're going to have a Steven Jones. That's kind of the threesome was Jerry, Steven, and McClay. If Bill Belichick comes in, now it's a foursome, I think. That's all. How nasty it may be.
Man,
Talking about it like that.
Three's a crowd. Anyway, like I said, shout out Mike Aldana, James Hur, Asmodeus, much love, saying the brass somehow feels like this team can be successful without signing game-changing players.
Hey, I mean, I hear you.
At some point or another, somebody's got to change the game. That's the point. And at least for the talent side of things, we've had game-changing players before. So now it's up to the front office to match that energy, right? Frank Moore, what's up, A-Town Frank? Much love.
Yeah.
Of course, a big mahalo to the man, Marco Seppian. Appreciate you. By the way, he's got 29 points.
Wow. Went right back up that board. He's got control again.
Let me see Bass. Shout out to you, who, by the way, he said, one owner away from winning a championship.
Exactly. That's what I felt for 29 years.
Rolling it back. No, just want to make sure we got everybody here so far. Brandon J, shout out to you as well. Lee Side Herald. I guess you can get a shout out as the Dallas Cowboys #1 fan in Houston. Scott Zilla, thanks for rolling through. Rolando Rodriguez, much love. Of course, the man Jet Li 44. We have Bad Intentions. We see Luis Ortiz, hello and hi. Shout out to you. And yes, rest in peace, Big Boss Larry Allen.
Yeah.
That one.
L.A.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that's everyone here.
I do want to shout out those that dropped the love, like Jet Li 44, Skeptical Fan, and Mark Hope Seppian. Thank you guys for dropping the love here. May see you guys on the After Dark sessions. We'll see. Maybe yes, maybe no. You got to be subscribed and have the notification bell on for that channel. If you want to see a little panel, some panel talking discussion, some music, some partying sometimes some politics, it has everything. Little sports. Anyways, guys, sports are here, and it's about the Dallas Cowboys. So thank you for joining us here for another one. Again, big shout out to the sponsor of the week and Cash App King, McLovin. Another big shout out for Mark Hovsepian, who started off at 24 and went down to 20 to like 18, and he's at 29 just like that. So big shout out to Mark Hovsepian, back up on his board there, and Jet Li 44 as the membership gifting champion, and not just this past week, but 6 out of the last 7 weeks. Big shout outs to him.
Right.
He's trying to make it 7 out of 8 weeks and back to back. Right now he has a 2 gifting lead over Skeptical Fans. So congrats to him. For now, as we're getting closer to the end of the week, we will crown some champions. And of course, if you're looking at the Cash App leader, it's SCO971 After Dark Session style. And Jet Li 44 is the overall sponsor of the leader, I guess. The leader of the week so far, not the sponsor. That's McLovin. The leader of the week is Jet Li 44. So congrats to you guys on being on the boards, staying on the boards, winning the boards. We'll see who wins them Sunday night before we head into the 5 weeks of quietness from football and our Dallas Cowboys. And again, hopefully our Cowboys, no offseason shenanigans, right, to get them in trouble in this next month and a half. Anyways, so, yeah, I wanted to make sure I shout everybody out there. I don't know if anybody else is new in the chat that you saw, maybe, that needed to shout out.
Revolution Journalist, shout out to you. Have a good night.
And I want you to tell us why we do this here almost every single night on My Cowboys Family for 7+ years.
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly. Here on this channel, we always rep that star for everything. And here on My Cowboys Family on YouTube for almost, I said 7 years plus, but almost 7 years, less than a month away for 7 years on YouTube. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, go Cowboys! You see my shirt? Let's get that 6 and beyond. Thank you for dropping, everybody in the chat, dropping the knowledge all night long. Thank you, guys. We will also be big thanks to those that dropped the love from above. Can't do this without your love and support on all sides of things. After Dark Sessions as well. And last but not least, baby, before we can, we're clocking out and dropping out for the night, relocking, reloading for another show. Probably not tomorrow because it sounds like there's going to be a shutdown situation at the Star unless CD signs or we sign a free agent. Nothing major happens, guys. We'll probably see you guys on Fan Friday or over the weekend for the closure here. So not many days left. You want to make a move on these boards. And, hope everybody's out there stays safe. Keep your eyes peeled. And we will see you guys as soon as any Dallas Cowboy news drops, pertinent to our Cowboys right now. No matter what, we're going live 2-3 times a week. But, if they're not giving us anything, we're not going to BS you guys either. So let's just put it that way. On that note, though, it is time to drop out of here, relock and reload for another one coming soon to a YouTube near you. As we drop out of here for the night, let everybody know what we got to do first.
We got to drop the beat.
Quick, the beat drop. Guys, thank you. We were trying to extend it the way we're trying to get the extensions for CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Dak. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for another extended show here on My Cowboys Family with the whole wrap-up of today's final day of mandatory minicamp. Wrapping it up, news, info, and updates with you guys right here for another MCF Cowboys chat, baby. You know how we do this. Final day of minicamp. The young guys celebrating, getting excited. It has that training camp feel. CeeDee Lamb still not there. McCarthy still trying to figure some stuff out. Zeke, Dak, they feel good. Doing their thing out there, reunited. We'll see how this whole thing goes. As now the next time we see this team practice is training camp. Here on MCF, it's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything. Never ever forget the number one thing right here, My Cowboys Family. Much love to all of you in the house. Cannot do this without you guys watching, supporting. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. Follow us on Twitter at My Cowboys Family. Jump in the Discord. All the information is in the description down below. And hey, everybody, we'll see you soon. Tomorrow, the next day. We'll see. Soon, before the end of the week. Stay safe. Much love to all. Peace. And never, ever, ever forget. Go Cowboys! Woo!
on the beat. Monk on the